In this lecture, we're going to learn about how to use props in our components. You can think of props as custom attributes for our components. We can use props to customize the behavior of a component similar to how HTML attributes change the behavior of an element. Let's prepare our project. We'll start things off by creating the user component. Inside the components directory, create a file called user.view. We'll add the template and script blocks. Next, export an object with the name property assigned to the value of user. We'll keep the template simple. It'll be a set of paragraph tags with the following text. The user is X years old. The user component is ready. The next step is to register it inside the app component. Inside the app component, we'll register the user component. The user component has been registered to the app component. We'll add the user component below the greeting component. Something I want to note is that the component can be written differently than how you define it inside the components object. View will use the name of the property as the name of the tag. You have the option of writing the tag name with lowercase letters even if the property name is using uppercase letters. In this example, we're using the lowercase version for the tag name. View allows you to write it either way, which can be nice since most element names are lowercase to begin with. We're going to change the greeting component to use the lowercase version. From here on out, we'll use the lowercase versions of components names inside the template block. One final adjustment. We're going to change this paragraph tag to an H3 tag. We're doing this so that it can stand out a little more when we're working on the application. Before we start adding data into the mix, let's confirm that the code is working. We'll refresh the page. Surely enough, everything is working properly. The user component is loading in just fine. We'll open the app component. We're going to add the data to the app component, not the user component. This way we can pass it down to both the greeting and user components. We'll add the data function using ES6 syntax. Inside this function, we'll return the object with the age property. We're giving the age property a value of 20. With the dataset, let's pass it onto the user component. Inside the template, we're going to add an attribute to the user component. In order to pass down data, we need to pass it in as an attribute. The attribute name can be whatever you want as long as it doesn't conflict with other attribute names. I recommend naming it something relevant. Since we're passing down the age, I think it would be appropriate to call it age. The value of this attribute is what will be passed onto the component. We want to pass down the age data property. You can hard code the value or you can make it dynamic. It's important to understand that the value will not automatically be interpreted as an expression. You have to bind it if you wish for it to be an expression. If we were to pass it like this, then View will assume you want to pass down a string. Therefore, we'll have to add a colon before the name to bind the attribute. Now View will send the age property inside the data object. We're not finished yet. The user component needs to accept the age. Switching to the user component, we're going to add a new property to the exported object called props. Props is short for properties. This will be set to an array. The array should contain a list of properties that the component will accept. We're going to accept the age. It's important that the name inside the props array matches the attribute name. This is how View connects the two. The age property is now available in our component. You can use it in expressions, directives, and methods. Inside the user components template, we'll replace the X in the static text with an expression that'll use the age. There's nothing more we need to do. Let's refresh the page. The user component displays the age dynamically. Even though there isn't a data property inside the user component, it's still able to use the age as if it were its own. The great thing about this is that the age will automatically be updated if the age in the parent component changes. Any changes are trickled down to children components. I can even prove this to you. Using the View Dev tools, view the list of components available. The app component will have the age under the data category. If we were to view the user component, it'll have the age listed under the props category. Despite being in a different category, we can still use the age like any other data property. If I were to switch back to the app component, I'll be able to edit the age. If I increment or decrement the value, then you'll notice the age up top changes as well. If the data inside the parent component changes, then all children components will reflect that change too. View handles that process for you. However, it doesn't necessarily work in the reverse. If we were to attempt to edit the age inside the user component, then we'll quickly discover it's not possible. There are a couple of reasons for this which we'll explore in the next lecture.